I consider myself a man of the people. And on one of my previous videos, I don't remember if it was the last one or the one before last, somebody asked, what did I think about Caspa, and will I do a review on Caspa? Right. So I figured, hey, I talk enough about other stuff. Um, why not? Let's go ahead and do a review on Caspa. And this is something that normally, like even what I'm gonna do today is just gonna be a light review. Uh, this is something that I would normally do in my course where I really truly do a deep dive. But ain't that much to deep dive on Casper. Just keeping it real. But I'm gonna talk about it because it's some very interesting points in here. First of all, Casper is the darling of the crypto industry right now. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody wants to buy it, and so on and so forth. And so just looking at the metrics over here, we're at 2.8. It just dropped down 2.8 billion market cap. There is 21 billion Caspa in circulation. Still got another 7 billion to drop, right? So 7 more billion to come out. So don't know what's going to happen with that. So these are some things to look at, and of course, everybody, oh yeah, Casper to the moon, and Casper's awesome, is great, and so on and so forth, right? So first of all, what is Casper? Casper, simply put, is another type of blockchain. Is what some would call a layer one blockchain. I'm not going to get too technical, but it's its own blockchain, like Bitcoin, like Ethereum, so on and so forth. Okay, so just starting, just starting there. Okay, man, I'm not gonna say if I had $1, but if I had $100 for every new blockchain that came out that said they were the next big thing, I would have even more money than what I have right now. Okay, so I'm just gonna go over a few of them. Um, One of them I covered. This was one that I covered back in the day, right? Harmony One, and just to put it into context, I was telling people about Harmony One way back here, way back here. You see, it went up. Okay, I want you to keep that in mind because that's going to be a thing. But you see where it is now. Um, Harmony One just didn't get any adoption, right? I think they're, I mean, I'm not gonna say that. I don't know if they're still doing anything or whatever. But the bottom, this says, hey, whatever you're doing, it's not working. It didn't get any adoption. Period. Okay. Then there was something. Hello. I always go over this stuff, and then when it's time, um, there was IOTA, and then there was IOTA X. I don't know if IOTA X came. I think IOTA X came after IOTA, which was a blockchain very similar to what Caspa is, right? And you see, kind of looks like Harmony One does it, right? So again, spiked up, came down. Nobody's using IOTA or IOTA X. Nobody's, building on those blockchains. Nothing, like nothing of note, right? Then there was this trash here, man. Um, and I did dabble around with this just from, um, using it to see if it was something that I could talk about for my students. And man, this is one of the things I wish I just never ever dealt with. Right when this came out, with all the hype in the world. And those are the ones that you really have to worry about. The ones that come out with the hype because they're putting all the marketing and everything in the beginning. You know the dump is coming, and just look at this. This is one of the worst charts out there. All of these are layer one blockchains. All of them. Okay? So it's with that I want you to view that through that same lens when we talk about Kaspa. Okay? Kaspa is a layer one blockchain. Now, if we look at the history of Kaspa, at least on CoinMarketCap, it looks a bit different, right? So if we go back to, is this just last year, 2022? This was the time to be getting in Kaspa. Back here, This was the time. Okay, and so everybody that got in here before it was hype, before everybody was talking about it, before it was all over YouTube, right? If you held, right, you had to do two things. You had to get in her early, and you had to hold. Some people know how to get in early. Most people don't know how to hold, right? So this has made a lot of money if you got in back here, okay? But I caution you very strongly getting in here, and I'm going to explain to you why. But it's done pretty well. So let's get into the nitty gritty of what Kaspa is. Other than, like I said, it's just a blockchain. Okay, it's allegedly a proof of work. I have not verified this. I know that it's, like I said, similar to IOTA X, that it uses a DAG technology. This reportedly uses what's called a block DAG, which is a bit different. But at the bottom line is, it's some type of proof of work. It's some type of computational formula that has to be used. It's not like Bitcoin, but that's what it is, right? So what's driving this interest, and what generally drives interest for blockchains like this, is the mining. Okay, and so I want you to look at the latest transactions here, right? Because see, this kind of stuff, the hype and stuff, doesn't matter. What matters is what's going on here. Okay, and there are some transactions coming through here, but 90+% of these, you see the 155, that's the mining reward. So that's what that is. So this is people just mining the coin, right? Because a proof of work coin, if you get set up with the network and everything like that, you can mine it. Okay, so let me share with you a bit what that's about, because that's the thing that's really driving. You got a whole lot of people mining Kaspa right now. Okay, so what is the benefit of mining Kaspa? Are they making money? What's it about? So on and so forth. Okay, so this blew my mind. This is a mining calculator, and I put in a lot of hash rate. Like, you got to spend a lot of money to get this kind of hash power. Okay, and so based on this amount of hash power, which again is a lot, you're making, based on current prices, $2.81 per day. That's what you're making. $2.81 per day. And I'm telling you, to get this much hash power will probably cost you about $25,000 or more. Right? So at the current hash rate, you're making about, you see here, every 30 days, $82 a day. I'm sorry, excuse me, when I'm talking about $82 a month, right? So if you did that, that's going to work out to about $1,000 a year. So maybe your rig wouldn't cost as much as I was thinking. Your rig in that case, based on the return on investment, will probably cost maybe 5 or 6 grand. But if you want to ramp this up, there are people who are spending $30,000+ on Casper mining rigs. Okay, and normally, well, first of all, that's high. That's just high. I'm just gonna keep it real. Like there's no way to look at it, right? But generally speaking, when you get into mining, you're thinking about long term. Okay, you're making an investment that's long term, right? Well, here's the problem with Caspa. They're gonna run out of Caspa in like a year. Okay, if you go back here, look, it's only you see that is according to CoinMarketCap, I think it came out November or December 2021. So it took a little time to get on here. But basically you have a 2+ year, 2 to 3 year schedule for your mining, right? And almost all of the Caspa has been mined in that short amount of time. So all of these people who are buying mining rigs, and I just want to show you. Okay, so here's a rig here. Okay, this is a GPU mining machine, which this guy is saying is not doing as well as the CPU miners. Right, you're gonna see he's gonna turn around in a bit and show his the bigger rig that he has. See, there it is, and right, this stuff literally looks like Ghostbusters, bro. Like I'm literally expecting Slimer to jump out at any moment. But this is the kind of stuff that you have to go through to make, $100 to $200 to $300 a month. I read where some people were making, because of the price of Casper right now, they're mining like 100 Casper a day. So that might be like $10-15 a day. Like, man, and this is not counting the electricity that you have to use. So obviously you're going to have a very high electricity bill and so on and so forth. But I'm just telling you, this is what's driving everything. So what's the problem with this? The problem with this is, as I said, Caspa is getting ready to run out of Caspa to give you, right? Run out of Caspa that you can mine. So all of these people in a year, these machines, at least with respect to Caspa, are going to be useless. They're going to be useless. Now, perhaps they'll be able to find other coins to mine or whatever, but most of the time, there's two things. Most of the time, the mining aspect is not very profitable, at least in the short term. You have to do it in the long term. So the reason why Bitcoin has worked is because it's worked over the long term. And Bitcoin, spread out the mining rewards for, years and years and years, not a couple years. The time to be mining Caspa was back here. The machines were cheaper, right? You could mine a lot more. And if you held on to it, like you're making bank right here. Right? This was the time. And it's no different. I'm just going to show real quick. It's no different than Bitcoin. Right? So, Bitcoin is 37,000 right now. Okay? So to get into obviously a Bitcoin mining rig right now is ultra expensive. Now, companies are doing it. Companies are investing billions of dollars in Bitcoin mining. That's called a clue. Right? But the time to be mining Bitcoin was back here. Like, if I have any regrets in terms of, financially things I didn't do or whatever, one of my biggest regrets was probably, not mining Bitcoin because I was back here with it. And like I said, I just bought and, just left it and stayed with it. I'm glad I stayed with it, but I probably could have mined more Bitcoin than I bought. I was actually talking to a guy last week, I think I met, and I asked him. I said, "Are you into crypto?" He was like, "Oh, I used to be." He was like, "I used to mine Bitcoin," and I was like, "Oh, for real? You used to mine Bitcoin?" He was like, "Yeah, I mined 11 Bitcoin." I was like, "Oh, for real?" I'm like, "Okay, that's nice." He was like, "Yeah, but I took that 11 Bitcoin. I think I bought some candy and some snacks and stuff like that because he was literally back here, right?" But Bitcoin gave him enough opportunity because it didn't inundate the market with all the Bitcoin in 2 years. We're still mining Bitcoin today. And, since people are using it, which is going to be my second point, that's making Bitcoin, more valuable. Okay. So going back to Caspa, as I said, most of these transactions are just mining. When you see this 155, those are just mining rewards. Okay. Nobody's actually using this for anything other than just a money making type of thing right now. Just I'm buying a big old mining machine. I'm spending thousands of dollars, right? And I'm mining Caspa, right? And a lot of people who have been mining Caspa for months, still have not even broken even. They're making money right now because Caspa is at all-time highs. Okay, but they had that if they broke even, they just did. Most people have not broke even because it hasn't been long enough. And so the people who are buying mining rigs right now, they're just completely screwed. I had a guy actually tell me, he was like, it makes no sense to buy a mining rig right now. It's just best to, buy the token, right? And it's like, even that, it's like, if nobody's using it, okay, what's the utility? Is this going to become the next big thing, whatever? The thing about Bitcoin is all along here, it had a use case, right? And they built out the use case first. People were using it, right? Remember the Bitcoin pizza and stuff. People were using it. People were accepting it as for whatever. Back here, that's not happening with Caspa. Okay, it's just a mining type thing, right? And so what I want to go back to is, if a bunch of people are buying rigs, right, and there aren't going to be that much more Caspa left to mine, right? What do you think is going to happen when people figure out, okay, these machines ain't worth it? I done wasted some money. First of all, they're gonna dump a bunch of those miners onto the market, right? And that's gonna allow other people, other brave people, if they want to scoop them up. But everybody right now, as soon as they get paid, they're just selling because they're just trying to recoup their investment, right? And again, if this still had another 4, 5, 6 years where you was getting Caspa at the same rate, then okay. But it doesn't. It's gonna run out soon. I think they're gonna cut the rewards, some more. Which is good for inflation, but it's not good for a return on investment. So, in order for this to go forward, you have to have some type of utility. you have to have people using this on the ground floor. You have to, right? I'm able to look at things objectively and see things from a blockchain standpoint and from a technical standpoint and all of that, right? But I like to hear from people who are, like actually a part of the system and using the system. And this guy is much closer to it than I am. And so he's laid out here other layer one blockchains, which is what Kaspa is, right? And there's a couple things that are funny right here. Number one, Kaspa is not integrated with anybody else, right? He's talking about Solana, H bar. I don't even know what XDC is, and Ethereum, right? Nobody has built anything on Kaspa. There are thousands of things that are built on Ethereum, right? H bar is, used by a lot of other like corporations and things, like the corporate blockchain. It's trash, but it is being used, right? Nobody's doing anything on Kaspa right now. And so given the market cap, you would expect that, at 2.8 billion, there would be, something happening at the base layer, something happening that, hey, people are actually using this in the real world, and they're not. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I always get a kick out of this stuff. This is hilarious because they're not even mentioning BNB. I don't know what's wrong with people. Why they act like BNB is not like, one of the biggest chains. It's the second biggest chain right now. But you can see here, right? It's been doing 3 million transactions a day. Ethereum literally cannot go above like 1.2 million because it gets too expensive, right? And here's Binance Smart Chain just cruising at 3 million, but it looks like recently they got up to 8 million November 17th, and then 9 million November 19th. Like, that's insane. Do you guys realize there's no other chain that's doing that? Not one. But yet these moon boys, and they don't give, like, Binance isn't even something to consider. And I just find that very funny. And there are literally thousands and thousands of things built on Binance Smart Chain. There are thousands of things built on Ethereum. It's just, Binance Smart Chain is a lot less expensive. Ethereum is more popular and has more developers and things like that. So they're like 1 and 2. There are a few things on Solana. There's some corporate things on H bar. I've never heard of XDC, and there's literally nothing on Kaspa. But yet, currently, it's worth 2.8 billion market cap. Okay. And so quickly, just another one of the things what this guy says is, he's not interested in, being a part of something that doesn't have a use case and is this low on the ground floor. You can watch this video, No BS Crypto. Doesn't want to be a part of something that's this low to the ground floor. 2.8 billion market cap. He's still calling this ground floor. So again, I just have to reference this. I'm not making this video about this, obviously, but when I'm talking about these kind of opportunities, right? I introduced it to you guys somewhere here. It's grown, and we're still at 14.4 million market cap. They're not even considering this right now. It's not even on their radar. That's how early it is, right? So that's the only thing I'm gonna mention about that today. But I just want to share that with y'all, right? So do not recommend it. I do not recommend this under any circumstances. I'm always, the type of stuff that I recommend, I'm always looking for things that can at least 10x. because I am coming from the position of an average person who might have 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000, 10,000, 20,000 max, to invest, right? I'm not looking for something to make me 20%, right? If I want to make 20%, I'm not going to take a chance on a Caspa. I'm not going to do that. If I want 20%, I'll just stick it in Bitcoin, right? And wouldn't you know it, here's Bitcoin giving, multiple 20%. In fact, this year is up over, if this will load, is up over 100%. Okay, 131% over the year for, something that's now 727 billion market cap. This is proven. Ain't nothing happening with this. BlackRock is getting into this, so on and so forth, right? So, if I'm just looking for stability and baby returns, I go here. But when I'm looking at, the things that I'm looking at, I have to at least 10x, right? And so while Bitcoin has been doing awesome, right, it hasn't done what 100 has done. Hasn't done that, right? Because 100 is much smaller. So I can put a little bit of money in this. I can put $5,000 in this, $2,000, 10 grand, you know what I'm saying? And I can get 10x returns out of this. Whereas, that same money into this is going to make some money, but it's not going to be as much. But yet I would have no problem, and I do, putting 6 figures into this, right? That, like, you understand the difference? Not putting it into fiat. We don't trust fiat. Not putting it into stables, putting it here because this has proven, right? So, at this point, there's a lot of risk that Caspa could fall by, I'm probably underestimating, I would say at least 50%, probably more, given the fact that the rewards are going to run out. And I think you're going to have a lot of people disappointed when they're not able to be profitable with their mining. Okay. Not only that, outside of, like, we need Bitcoin mining. Bitcoin mining is way more energy efficient than, the fiat industry, the oil industry, the gold industry is ridiculous, right? So in comparison, it's great. But as I said, you need a lot of equipment to mine anything, right? Caspa, Bitcoin, it doesn't matter. And so just this whole idea of having all these machines, if I'm in a country that has a bad electrical grid, right, then mining Bitcoin is not an option for me. Or even if I want to do this, it's literally not an option. I can't do this because I don't have the consistent electricity, right? And so, this is an issue that a lot of people have. So it makes it, again, an unfair thing that you have some people that are able to participate and some people that are not. And so I didn't want to spend, the video on this, and I'm not. I'm going to come back and cover this. But there's new type of systems that allow you to essentially participate in mining, but is much more energy efficient, and you don't need any type of machinery or anything like that. Okay, and one of these things, which absolutely 5 people know about, and that's probably the 5 people that I talk to, is bias, right? And so, what is bias? You can check out the website here. I'm not gonna go into it, but basically, this is very much like having the beginnings of your own bank. You know about bias if you're into 100, because if you stake your 100, you needed to own bias to do that. The bias developers and the 100 developers are the same people. So what the bias developer said is every project we make is going to use bias. So they made 100, and sure enough, to stake 100, you need bias. Okay. Now they have stopped the bias rewards because either it was just time to do it, or most of the time people just get stuff free, and they just dump it. So if you look at the bias chart right now, and you're thinking short term, you might be thinking, oh, this doesn't look that good. I don't know what I should do with this, right? I don't think I'm going to get into this. That would be one of the biggest mistakes you're going to make potentially, because how this works is, rather than machines, all you have to do is own the token and hold the token. And anytime there's any type of payment on the network, transaction, if somebody transfers it, whatever they do, you get a percentage of every transaction. And you don't need any mining equipment, nor do you even need electricity. Yeah. So you simply just hold it, right? And based on the percentage of the network that you own, you get a percentage of everything that happens. See, it says it right here. Buy bias and be your own bank. You'll get payments every time a transaction happens on the network. No staking required. You keep control of your funds at all time. If you mine Kaspa, you're not going to get a percentage of everybody else's mining. That's not going to happen, right? But with bias, literally everything that happens, and there's not much happening right now, I'm telling you, but you're thinking about the future again, just like I said back here, right? The people who made the money off of Bitcoin mining, we're doing it back here. Can you imagine mining a few Bitcoin a day at 10 cents, 30 cents, a dollar, $3, and you held on to that? Those are the people that made the money. These people are going to make some money too, but they're not going to make money until Bitcoin is $1 million. Okay? Bias is saying, look, we don't need to mine, you don't need to do anything. We're going to keep building projects that use bias, and all you have to do is nothing. All you have to do is own bias and just collect the fees. That's it. So again, nobody knows anything. I've never talked about this. I'm not going to talk about it, more in this video. I'll have to do a dedicated video, but like literally nobody knows anything about this, other than, again, the 500 or so people that were in 100. A lot of people that have gotten in 100 have not participated, and things like that. So, these are the type of opportunities, right? If I could put this in perspective, right? If you buy right now, let me go back. Even Bitcoin, which I think everybody should have. I'll just use Bitcoin. I don't want to keep going back. You buy $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, there's a very good chance that $1,000 is going to be worth more than $3,000 one day. Okay, it could be 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, but it's a very, very safe investment, right? But if you know anything about investing, you don't make the most money being safe. You can make some money, but the people who are making the money are the ones that are taking chances, right? The people who make the most money in the 2010s was the ones that was buying, Apple and Amazon and Netflix before those brands were even established, right? So that same thousand or so in bias, right? Real talk, in the same time frame. Give it time. I'm never gonna give you something where you get into stuff and like it's like, oh, it's time to cash out in a week or 2 or 3 months or whatever. Even like people are foolishly doing on 100. This is still just starting. But people could say that till they blue in the face. G's gonna G. Whatever. Like this is still going. But bias, like less people know about bias than 100. So 1,000 in here, seriously, in 3 years, let's just say 3 years could be, I'm not joking, it could be 100,000. It could be 500,000. It could even be $1 million. Because again, even at $1,000 worth, you're getting a percentage of all of everybody's fees in the network. So everybody that buys after you're getting a piece of. Everybody that sells before you get a piece of everything that they owned. Any new project that comes out, right? If Bias comes out with a project, right, and let's say it gets 100,000 people, every single person that has to buy Bias, you're gonna get a piece of every single thing. And I just think it's wild, like truly wild, that just buying 100, they gave us Bias. They like, here it is for free, right? And what's crazy to me is, if you look at the Bias chart or whatever, you just see so many people who got free airdrops from 100. So free money from 100. And then they got free Bias. And as soon as they unstake their 100, they're selling Bias. Like no loyalty, no appreciation. It's like these jokers are making things happen, and people are just cheating and selling. Is really, really unfortunate, right? And again, like I said, I'm gonna do another video where I really, really break it down. But all I wanted to do, the purpose of this, I'm gonna go back here, was to draw the difference, compare the difference between a product that everybody can participate in, that requires no equipment, that will probably pay you more than this mining equipment, costs no electricity. Like what is the value of, do you understand that? What is the value of something like that? No electricity, everybody can do it. There's no technical stuff required. Literally all you have to do is buy it, and nobody knows about it, right? And so you just have to wonder why the Bias team, why they're being quiet, whatever. They're not really promoting it and everything. They just, it seems like they just kind of want everything to happen naturally. There's no big promotion for 100, right? But in general, when you see things being hyped up like this, when you hearing about it everywhere, when you seeing it on every YouTube video, and your coworkers is telling you about it, and it's everywhere, and everybody is saying, yo man, I'm getting into this, real talk, that's the time where you might want to consider selling. And so I think it's a much, much, much greater chance that Kaspa goes down by 50% then up by 50%. But if we do have a so-called bull run, things are going to go up and all of that. So it could go with that. Be at the end of the day, it's the utility that's going to make things happen, and that's going to allow people to use it and allow it to keep growing. And so, since right now we don't have that, it's not something I can recommend. I can circle back after it drops, right? If it drops, I'm pretty sure it's going to drop, and see if they continue to develop. Like, we don't even know that. All the Kaspa dudes that got in here, they're making so much money. Now, the question is, what are they going to do with this? What are they going to do with this money? Are you going to put it back into, Kaspa? Are you going to develop more? What are you going to do? Right? So there's a lot of question marks. So to the person that had the question, I hope this answers your question. I hope you don't get mad at me and things like that. I'm just keeping it real. I've been doing this for a while. I know what I'm talking about, right? But to each your own, you can do whatever you want to do. This is just my opinion. Do your own research. It's your boy BSG. I'm going to holler at y'all in the next video.